All right, everyone. So today I wanted to talk about the best ways to level and rank up fodder when we have events going on. And this is going to be really important, especially to those of you guys who are trying to min-max your resources and get as much out of the events as well as get as much out of leveling up your champions both at the same time. Now, we currently have a champion training tournament going on right now that is absolutely crazy. However, even if you guys are watching this video outside of this tournament, it doesn't matter because they've actually revamped the champion training tournaments to be a lot more identical to the champion training events. You actually will notice that the amount of points that you get from leveling up champions in the champion training tournament is identical to the amount of points that you get by leveling up champions during a champion training event. The only thing that is different, and it's only one thing, is going to be ranking up 6-star champions. For the champion training event, it's going to be 300 points, whereas for the champion training tournament, it's going to end up being 400 points. But besides that, all the numbers are going to be identical for tournaments and events. So you'll be able to use this information for a whole bunch of stuff coming up in the future. It's really cool that they revamped this because previously you had to level up your champions in the Tavern and use brews for the tournaments, which is really annoying. Nobody likes to spend all day at the Tavern. It also felt like a gimmick for Polarium to sell more brews in the store, but now you end up getting points for the tournament just like you would from the event. So you can farm the campaign, you can use brews, but no matter how you end up getting experience, even if it's something like the sparring pit, everything will contribute towards points for the tournament. Now, it's going to be really important to note how many points you get per level, and notice that the difference is really big between 2-star and 3-star. That's going to be the really big jump, and you guys will see why this makes a big difference and what's going to be the most efficient way to level up your food during these events and tournaments. So 1-star will end up giving you 1 point per level. 2-star will also end up giving you 1 point per level. It doesn't actually go up from 1-star to 2-star. It stays the same. 3-star is when it jumps up, and now 3-star champions will give you 2 points per level instead of 1 point per level. It jumps up again. 4-star will give you 3 points per level. Really big jump from 4-star to 5-star, from 3 points all the way up to 6 points. However, you really don't spend a lot of time leveling up 5-star champions in comparison to how much time you spend up leveling up 1 through 4-star champions. It takes a lot of time and effort to get to 5 stars. You're also never really going to be leveling up 5-star food at that point. You're only going to be leveling up 5-star champions itself. So even though it gives you a lot of points per level, the amount of time that you spend at that point in the game is going to be very low in comparison to other stuff. And 6-star, of course, gives you 8 points, but you spend very little time actually leveling up 6-star champions in comparison to those low stars, so it makes sense that it gives you so many points. Then you get those bonuses for ranking up: 5 points for 1 to 2-star, 15 from 2 to 3, 50, 3 to 4, 100, 4 to 5, and 400 from 5 to 6. Again, the only difference between the tournaments and the events is that 5 to 6-star rank upgrade for the events will give you 300 points instead of 400. Besides that, these numbers are identical. So really, really good news. Makes this a lot easier to actually go through. Now, a big thing that I want to answer in this video is going to be a major, major question, and that is going to be, is it going to be worth using brews in order to level up, say 3 or 4-star champions to get those bonus points, even though I'm just going to end up fusing this champion into another one and using it as fodder and essentially having all this experience go to waste? And the answer to that question is going to really depend on how many additional spare resources you have. If you have a bunch of brews, or you just have a ton of energy and you really don't care, and your #1 goal is to get as many points as quickly as you can, the answer to that is going to be absolutely yes. You're going to want to start at 3-star champions, and that is because 3-star champions is when you start to get that boost from getting 1 point per level now up to 2 points per level. Because champions are going to take roughly the same amount of experience at the earlier levels, it's not quite the same. I actually have a chart that will show you guys that the higher star level champions actually require more experience at the earlier levels, less experience in the middle levels, and then more experience again at the end. It gets a little bit complicated. I'm not going to get too much into it. The important thing to note is that the earlier levels are very, very easy in comparison to the later levels. It's way easier to get from level 1 to level 2 than level 59 to 60, obviously, and that's by a huge margin. But even though it's a lot easier to get from level 1 to level 2 than 59 to 60, you're still going to end up getting the same number of tournament points regardless, which is why a lot of people consider using things like brews on 3, 4, and 5-star champions to get those additional points. It's because using one brew early on, as you can see on this 4-star champion, is going to get me all the way up to level 9, 3 points per level. That's going to give me 24 tournament points just by using one brew. Now, if I were to use a brew on a 3-star champion, it would be a bit different. Because they require slightly different amounts of experience, this one will actually go all the way up to level 10. That's why I said, yes, technically the numbers are a little bit different, but it's going to be a lot easier to get those earlier levels than it is to get those later levels, and you get the same number of tournament points regardless. But the question is going to be, how many points do you get by actually leveling up your food? Because the problem with this method, and while it is going to be the most efficient method for tournaments and events specifically, if that's your #1 goal, is that all that experience, those brews that you put into champions, you're going to just use those champions as rank up material, and it's all going to end up going to waste. So the only thing that you are using those resources for is specifically tournament points. You aren't actually going to be able to put that to use and use it as resources for 6 stars. So that's why it's important to know how many points you actually get by ranking up and leveling up champions the old-fashioned way, because that's going to be not only useful for tournament points, but you're going to be able to use that as food to get your 6-star champions. And it turns out that the most efficient is going to actually be 1-star champions, but there's a really big drawback to this, especially for mid and late game players, and that is we don't actually need to level up 1-star champions. If you have a bunch of mystery shards, then you're going to just get so many uncommons for mystery shards anyway that you could skip this step altogether. So mystery shards give you about 3 commons for every 1 uncommon that they give you. Now, if you're an earlier beginner player, I would honestly still take a look at leveling up your common champions. You're probably not going to have the insane amount of mystery shards in order to do this, and 1-stars are surprisingly going to be the most efficient rarity and star level in order to end up getting those points for the tournament. So it saves you mystery shards, and it's actually the best star level for the tournaments and events that we have. So let's break down the numbers. I'm going to use Brutal Stage 12-3 as my example. I'm just going to use the same example for everything just so it stays consistent. The numbers that I use also have an experience boost and a raid pass. If you guys don't have an experience boost or raid pass, that's totally fine. The numbers themselves will be a little bit different, but the ratios of the numbers will be the same. So the message and the point will still be the same regardless of what experience boost you use, whether you decide to farm stage 12-3 or stage 12-6, or even if you decide to farm some other part of the campaign, you'll still get the same point regardless. So when we break down the actual numbers behind how much efficiency we're going to get for the tournaments and events, based on the star level, you'll see that 1-star champions take a total of 22,761 experience in order to get to max level. And if you guys want to save this screenshot right here that just shows you the amount of experience you need to get to max level for various star level champions, you're welcome to do so. You can also just come back to this video, reference it later, whatever you feel like you need to do. These are some important numbers that you might want to know for the future. But for 1-stars, 22,761 to max level, which is 10. That's going to be 2.5 runs of 12-3 on Brutal. Again, you don't have to actually do 12-3 on Brutal specifically. You can do something else. The important thing is I'm going to stick with the same thing throughout all of my examples so that it stays consistent. That's going to be a total of 20 energy, and you need 3 3-stars for leveling and then 3 3-stars for ranking up. A total of 6 sorry, not 3 stars, 1 stars, total of 6 1-stars. You're going to get 30 points from leveling them up and 15 points from ranking them up. 45 points in total at a cost of 20 energy, which is going to give you 2.25 tournament or event points per energy spent. Now, the numbers might be a little bit different for you depending on whether you have a raid pass and experience boost, but the ratio is still going to be the same as we move on from 1-stars to 2-stars. Now, you'll see here that 2-stars become a lot more inefficient than 1-stars. You need 81,326 experience to max level for 2-stars. That's going to be 8 runs of 12-3 on Brutal, which is 64 total energy. You need 3 2-stars for leveling up, and then 6 2-stars for the ranking up purposes. Total of 9 of them. That's going to be 60 points from the levels and 45 points from the ranking up. Now, the 2 stars will still give you 1 point per level. This is why 2 stars are a lot more inefficient than 1 stars, is because you need more experience to level them up, but they still only give you 1 point per level. So when you break it down, you'll see that you get a total of 105 points, but it costs 64 energy, which means that that ratio now goes all the way down from 2.25 to 1.64. So it's quite a bit less efficient to level and rank up those 2 stars in comparison to those 1 stars. Now, 3 stars are going to be a bit of a boost comparison to 2 stars, but still surprisingly not going to be as good as 1 star. Now, 3 stars require 200,681 experience to get to the max level of 30. That's going to be 19.5 runs of Brutal for 156 total energy. You need 3 stars for leveling up and then 9 3 stars for ranking up, which means you need a total of 12 of them. And these numbers are important to note that the more champions that you need for fodder, the more you're going to have to spend at that stage. So the more you're going to have to spend at the earlier stages. So you're not going to be able to spend as much time leveling up 4-star champions comparison to 3 or 2-star champions, because you need a whole bunch of the previous rarity and star level in order to get to the next one. So you get 180 points by leveling up 3-star champions, because now instead of getting 1 point per level, we're getting 2 points per level. And then you also get 150 points by ranking them up. So a big jump there. Now instead of getting 15 points per rank up, we're getting 50 points per rank up. That's a total of 330 points for leveling up a set of 3-star champions to max level. 156 energy, you're looking at a ratio of 2.11. So you can see that 3 stars are going to be much more efficient than 2 stars, but still surprisingly not as good as 1 star. The big drawback to 1 star, of course, is that if you're a mid and late game player, you don't even need to do this step. You could skip it altogether. And 4 stars are going to take 449,082 experience to max level, which is 40. That's going to be 44 runs of 12-3 of Brutal for 352 total energy. You need 3 4 stars for leveling, 12 for ranking up, a total of 15. 360 points for leveling them up. And that is, of course, because 4 stars now give you 3 points each. And 300 points for ranking them up. That's going to be 660 total points and a ratio of 1.875. So 4 stars start to go down again in comparison to 3 stars. So it's very strange. It doesn't work the way that you would think it is. 1 stars are going to end up being the best at a ratio of 2.25. Then it really drops down big time to 2 stars, which are 1.64. Then it goes up quite a bit. 3 stars are going to be over 2 again at 2.11. And then it drops down again. 4 stars are going to be 1.875. So the biggest takeaway from this is you're actually going to get the most efficiency for events and tournaments when you are leveling and ranking up those 3-star champions. Now, the problem is you're still going to have to spend a lot of time leveling and ranking up 2-star champions unless you're a hyper whale and you just spend a bunch of ancient shards pulling fodder and champions. Most people aren't going to be able to do this, so we're going to have to spend a lot of time leveling up 2-star uncommons either way. There's no way to really skip that step with mystery shards like there is for commons, because rares are going to be a lot more difficult to get with only a 1.4% chance to get them from mystery shards. So again, if you guys don't have an experience boost or raid pass, the numbers themselves might be a little bit different, but the takeaway from this being that 2 stars are the most inefficient, 1 stars are the best, 3 stars are the second best, and 4 stars are kind of in the middle. It's still the same, regardless of whether you have an experience boost, whether you use Brutal, 12-3 to farm, or another stage. That's the takeaway. Now, it is absolutely going to be worth using a couple of brews or maybe 1-star champions to level up those 3, 4, and 5 stars just a little bit to get those additional tournament points if that's going to be your main goal. However, if you're limited on resources, if you're free to play, and you guys are trying to get the most efficiency out of all of your stuff that you possibly can, if you decide to just use brews on 4 stars and then use this as a champion, as a rank up ingredient for another champion, all this additional experience just goes to waste. The only reason why I would ever do this is for tournament points. So while it is going to be a great way to get tournament points, that's the only reason why you would do this. So those of you guys who are limited, I can't stress this enough. You really have to balance that idea of Is it worth using my resources just for tournament points, or do I want to use my resources for both tournament points and also to rank up champions that I'm going to be able to use for 6 stars that I will use on my account for a long time to come? I shared a lot of information at you guys in this video. I'm going to end up leaving it here for today. So that's going to be it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. And if you did enjoy this video and you want more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you guys for all the support, everyone. Feel free to toss a quick like. It means more than you can even imagine. And more Raid Shadow Legends videos, guides, tutorials, and all that fun stuff should be popping up on the screen right about now. Feel free to check them out. If not, until next time, this is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.